Coming up on the Rockbridge Report, the Senate Intelligence Committee begins their investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 U.S. presidential election. We tell you who they are interviewing and what Senator Mark Warner said about the interference.
And later, Lexington City Council is considering removing the dam at Jordan's Point. We tell you what that means for water sports.
The weather the next few days will be dark and cold, although my clothing would suggest otherwise. Find out more in your 5-day forecast.
And the NCAA flexed its muscles in North Carolina, causing the state to reverse its controversial bathroom bill. We have the reaction.
All that and more next on the Rockbridge Report.
Live from the campus of Washington and Lee University with news for Rockbridge County, this is the Rockbridge Report.
Welcome to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Bryn McCarthy.
And I'm Polly Niskova. The Senate Intelligence Committee began their investigation into Russian interference with the U.S. presidential election today. CNN's Reed Binion has the story.
We will get to the bottom of this.
Senate Intelligence Committee Vice Chairman Democrat Mark Warner promising a thorough investigation into Russia's meddling in the 2016 election. Warner appearing Wednesday with Chairman Richard Burr ahead of the committee's first public hearing Thursday.
The staff has been provided an unprecedented amount of documents. We have made 20 requests for individuals to be interviewed by the committee.
Among those set to eventually be questioned, President Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner and former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort. Burr indicated that the committee had already spoken to former Trump National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, who resigned after misleading the administration about his contact with Russia's ambassador to the U.S.
You would think less of us if General Flynn wasn't in that list.
As telling as anything that Burr and Warner said was the tone of Wednesday's appearance by the two senators.
We're partners to see that this is completed and that we've got a product at the end of the day that we can have bipartisanship in supporting.
That ideal of bipartisanship, one that has deteriorated rapidly in the House investigation into Russia's election meddling.
I've answered all the questions over and over again.
House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes, while maintaining the support of many in his own party, is facing calls from Democrats to step down over his handling of the investigation.
We have a chairman who got information on the White House grounds that he won't share, not just with Democrats, but with his own committee.
I'm Reed Binion reporting.
Meanwhile, Virginia Senator Mark Warner raised questions about Russia's ability to spread misinformation without the aid of someone who understands American politics.
Russian propaganda on steroids was designed to poison the national conversation in America. The Russians employed thousands of paid internet trolls and botnets to push out disinformation and fake news at a high volume, focusing this material onto your Twitter and Facebook feeds and flooding our social media with misinformation. This fake news and disinformation was then hyped by the American media echo chamber and our own social media networks to reach and potentially influence millions of America.
House Speaker Paul Ryan told CBS News this morning that he is concerned that President Trump would work with Democrats if Republicans refuse to budge on Trump's health care plan. CNN's Poppy Harlow has more on mounting health care uncertainty.
President Trump ripping into the House Freedom Caucus and Democrats. Here's his tweet. The Freedom Caucus will hurt the entire Republican agenda if they don't get them on the team and fast. We must fight them and Dems in 2018. That tweet on the heels of a frank message from Paul Ryan on CBS this morning. Ryan voicing his concerns when it comes to President Trump's relationship with Democrats after their less than fruitful attempt to sell the GOP's health care plan.
What I worry about, Nora, is that if we don't do this, then he'll just go work with Democrats to try and change Obamacare. And that's that's hardly a conservative thing. This is a can-do president who's a business guy who wants to get things done. And I know that he wants to get things done with the Republican Congress. But if this Republican Congress allows the perfect to be the enemy of the good, I worry will push the president into working with Democrats. He's been suggesting that as much.
Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke says geographic and physical challenges stand in the way of building President Trump's border wall. Zinke says the 2,000-mile border is complex in some areas, thanks in part to Big Bend National Park and a river that makes up nearly half of the border. Further complicating building are the hundreds of species that live along the border, including threatened jaguars and Mexican gray wolves. An internal report prepared for Homeland Security Secretary John Kelly placed the cost of building Trump's wall at $21 billion. The president's proposed budget currently includes immediate funding to complete an existing barrier to the Rio Grande Valley and $500 million to complete a border wall in Texas and $350 million for construction in San Diego. A federal judge in Hawaii issued a longer-lasting order Wednesday to block President Trump's revised travel ban. U.S. District Judge Derek Watson held a hearing on Hawaii's request to extend his temporary hold on the executive order. Hawaii Attorney General Douglas Chin argued that even though the revised ban has more neutral language, the implied intent remained.
When the president makes remarks, even on the campaign trail, if it ends up leading to policies that are discriminating against people, and here the focus is discrimination based on their religion, then that's a violation of the Constitution, or at least that's our argument, and that's what we're asking the court to adopt.
Attorney General Chin said the Trump administration will probably appeal the decision, sending the case back to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals.
Virginia Senator Tim Kaine will join Democratic colleagues in filibustering against President Trump's Supreme Court nominee. Kaine cited Judge Neil Gorsuch's opinion that employers have the right to deny government-mandated contraception coverage for their workers in his explanation. Democrats will attempt to filibuster the Gorsuch nomination next week. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is expected to lead an effort to change Senate rules to permit Gorsuch to be confirmed by a simple majority. Current rules set a 60-vote threshold for confirmation. The Virginia Horse Center will see an increase in funding in the upcoming fiscal year. Lexington City Manager Noah Simon says budget priorities in Lexington haven't changed, but said tourism and places like the Horse Center will see an increase because of the revenue they generated in the previous year. To read more about the highlights of Simon's proposed budget, visit the city website, lexingtonva.gov.
The Commonwealth's attorney has asked a local judge to give a special grand jury one more month to investigate the Rockbridge Area Department of Social Services. Commonwealth's attorney Chris Bilius convened a special grand jury in August after problems with the local social services department were exposed. The agency allegedly ignored several reports of child abuse and neglect. A 3-month-old girl also died. The special grand jury can suggest criminal charges, or the grand jury could file a report of its findings. The judge would then decide whether to make the report public. Hillary Clinton is back in the spotlight, commenting on the controversy surrounding the White House. Correspondent April Ryan and Press Secretary Sean Spicer. During a Tuesday press conference, Spicer criticized Ryan, telling her to, quote, "stop shaking your head," as he responded to her question. Spicer's comment elicited a Twitter storm led by Black Lives Matter activist Brittany Packnett, who took to Twitter to encourage black women to share their own experiences with racism in the workplace. Clinton also responded to Spicer's comment.
Where everyday sexism and structural barriers were once blatant, today they're sometimes harder to spot, but make no mistake, they're still with us. Just look at all that's happened in the last few days to women who were simply doing their jobs. April Ryan, a respected journalist with unrivaled integrity, was doing her job just this afternoon in the White House press room when she was patronized and cut off trying to ask a question. One of your own California congresswomen, Maxine Waters, was taunted with a racist joke about her hair.
Coming up next, a Florida woman is going to court over the Trump University settlement. We tell you what she is suing for.
And later, Music in Our Schools Month builds to a crescendo at Waddell Elementary. We show you how local musicians help students create music to their ears.
If you don't fix them, sparks from dragging tow chains could cause a wildfire, and that could be scary.
Hi, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
President Donald Trump faces one last hurdle to ending nearly 7 years of lawsuits over his now-defunct Trump University. A judge will decide today on whether to approve a $25 million settlement with former customers who claimed they were duped by failed promises to learn success in real estate. But one former student is unhappy with the settlement and wants to sue the president individually. CNN senior investigative correspondent Drew Griffin reports on the woman behind the lawsuit.
It's all Sherry Simpson has left of what she first thought would be her ticket to financial freedom. She says when she plopped down her money, $20,000 back in 2010, she really believed signing up for Donald Trump's real estate school would lead to a wealthy future.
Success. It's going to happen to you.
He promised us that he handpicked all of his mentors and teachers and that they were all trained with his system.
Simpson says she quickly found out it was all a charade. She's filed a motion with the San Diego federal court asking she be allowed to opt out of the National Trump University settlement. She wants the ability, she says, to sue Donald Trump one-on-one. If the judge agrees, the entire settlement agreement could be tossed out.
Why not take that money and run instead of facing a possible elongated and I assume very costly federal lawsuit?
And possibly very nasty given his history with this case. And
well, it will be nasty, of course.
I think what he did to me and what he did to everybody else was really fraudulent. And I'd really like to take him to trial. I'd like to hold him accountable for what he did.
So what does she want? She wants all her money back, $20,000 with interest, plus 3 times that amount in damages. And something else. Sherry Simpson wants an apology from Donald Trump himself. Drew Griffin, CNN, Atlanta.
In the early 19th century, Jordan's Point on the Maury River served as an industrial and transportation hub. Now, state officials want to dismantle Jordan's Point Dam for safety and environmental reasons, but not everyone is on board. Sutton Travis has the story.
For 10 years, the state's Game and Fisheries Department has wanted to remove Jordan's Point Dam. Experts say it poses a drowning hazard. It also could fail. State biologist Louise Finger says some people recently approached her department about demolishing the dam.
It's not like this has not been discussed, so I think it's been on the minds of a lot of people for a long time.
State officials say the river would be better off for humans and fish if the dam were removed.
So you take the dam out, you connect the river again, you have free fish passage up and down, and biologically it becomes a better entity.
The city of Lexington owns the dam, but the Rockbridge County line begins halfway through the Maury River. The county does not have a legal say in the decision.
It's owned by the city, but the impact is largely to county residents.
Don Hassfurther is the executive director of the historic Lexington Foundation. He hopes the nearby mill race, which powered a historic cotton mill operation, will be preserved.
There could be a major incident here. It could be a public safety issue. And if that's the case, we certainly would not oppose the demolition of the dam.
County resident William Wade often takes his grandson boating and fishing on the river.
I really just don't think you should take the dam out and ruin the river.
But state officials are concerned that removing the dam is long overdue.
Maury River is an exceptional natural resource. We sense that the time is right to revisit the future of this structure.
A community meeting about the dam is tentatively scheduled for May 15th at Lilburn Downing Middle School. For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Sutton Travis.
The state would manage and fund the dam's removal. Catherine, we've seen some beautiful spring weather this week. Is it here to stay?
It will be back this weekend, but unfortunately we have some rain in between now and then. Let's take a look at our live shot over Woods Creek. And now let's take a peek at today's almanac. We had a high of 53 and a low of 48. The barometer was reading 30.08 inches of mercury, and we had 9-mile-an-hour wind speeds as well as 55% humidity. For the area weather, we had pretty much clouds across the board with a high of 54 in Charlottesville, 53 in Stanton, 43 down in Covington, 53 in Buena Vista, and 53 in Roanoke. For the radar screen, it looks like we have a lot of rain moving in, so let's take a look at our 5-day forecast. For Friday, we have a rain with a high of 63 and a low of 46. On Saturday, we have a little bit of sunshine moving back into the picture with a high of 67 and a low of 42. On Sunday, the sun is here to stay with a high of 68 and a low of 46. On Monday, we have a high of 63 and a low of 48, but the rain is back. And then again on Tuesday, we have a high of 67 and a low of 48, but the rain is here. That's all for your 5-day forecast. Polly and Bryn, back to you. Coming up, Congress approved legislation ending an Obama-era regulation on broadband privacy. We tell you what that means for you.
And later, one fast food chain is changing their recipe for their famous burger. We tell you which one.
Hi, may I please have an application? Thank you.
Skip the drama. Get your GED.
Okay.
Take that first step towards a better future and sign up for free classes now at yourged.org.
If you store your guns properly,
I'll feel safer when I'm playing outside.
Safer when walking home.
I won't have to tell so many family members. I'm sorry.
I won't hear as many scary stories.
And I won't have to tell my kids. This isn't a drill.
Please.
Please.
Do it for us.
Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. Remember, always, lock it up. Visit ncpc.org.
Enroll, we say. We want you to be okay. Enroll, we say. Take care, people, for goodness sake. There's a plan for every budget, so don't accept defeat. Now you can get covered and still buy me treats.
You take care of your pets. Now it's their turn to take care of you. Visit getcoveredamerica.org to learn about your health insurance options.
No more pencils, no more books.
No more teachers, dirty looks.
School's out for summer.
What this place needed was better graduation rates. So we worked with schools like Henry Ford High, and now they're up 18%.
To help us do more good this year, go to unitedway.org, because great things happen when we live united.
The House of Representatives voted Tuesday to block online privacy regulations issued during the final months of the Obama administration. The Federal Communications Commission rule was intended to give consumers control over how internet service providers share their information, but critics say the rule would increase costs and limit innovation. The House voted 215 to 205 to reject the regulations. The Senate rejected the regulations Tuesday. The law is currently awaiting the president's signature. First daughter Ivanka Trump has accepted an official position in her father's administration after weeks of speculation about her role. The decision comes at the heels of ethical concerns that Ivanka's former unofficial status allowed her to avoid financial disclosures and other transparency methods required of a White House official. Ivanka will serve as an unpaid formal advisor to the president.
Rockbridge County is home to over 2,000 veterans. A number of local organizations give back to the men and women who gave so much and often don't ask for help. Faith Isbell reports.
Veterans, like Talmadge Clater, who fought in World War II, are often honored for their service.
Proud to be honored. Not that I deserved it as much as a lot of others.
But sometimes, veterans need more than a medal. They need a little support from the community.
Veterans definitely face similar issues to anybody else.
Veterans often use the local food pantry or call the helpline for financial aid for rent and utilities. Homelessness is an issue, but there are a number of local organizations that try to provide similar services to veterans.
Sometimes we forget that they don't go around announcing themselves.
Mickey Watkins is the founder of the Veterans Transport Group. The group makes local veterans aware of the services available to them. Watkins found that veterans often couldn't find a way to keep their doctor's appointments.
And I think that's a way of honoring them, to make sure that they can get to the things that they need and get to services that they need.
The group organized a Veterans Benefits Fair last October. The fair brought in 17 vendors, from veteran employment agencies to counseling services.
How can we try to start lifting some of that frustration off their shoulders? They deserve praise and support, so how can we make that happen?
Ray Bluen is a veteran of the Coast Guard. Bluen said asking for help isn't always easy.
You don't want to ask for help. There's nothing wrong with you. Simple as that.
The nearest VFW post is just east of Lexington along Route 60. The post brings in a Veteran Services representative twice a month. I'm Faith Isbell with the Rockbridge Report.
Coming up, Waddell Elementary students dance to their own beat during Music in Our Schools Month. Reporter Caroline Blackman will have you the story after the break.
Jimmy can't sing and Tommy can't dance, so we're gonna put some ants in their pants. Aww.
Kids will spend 22 minutes watching us, the super duper party troopers, sing about ants in their pants.
Isn't that funny? Ants in their pants, they've got ants in their pants, they've got ants in their pants.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time. Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Every budget, so don't accept defeat. Now you can get covered and still buy me treats.
You take care of your pets. Now it's their turn to take care of you. Visit getcoveredamerica.org to learn about your health insurance options.
One fast food giant is about to make a big move towards freshness. McDonald's announced today that it will be using fresh beef patties for its quarter pounders as opposed to frozen ones. The restaurant giant has been using frozen beef for more than 40 years. Big Macs and other hamburgers will continue to be made with frozen meat. It is unclear whether franchises will raise prices on quarter pounders. The move comes on the heels of a Wendy's ad campaign which highlights its use of fresh, never frozen beef.
So Emma, it's been an important day for sports, especially for the LGBTQ community. Could you tell us a little bit more about what's been happening in North Carolina?
Of course, Bryn. The state of North Carolina repealed a controversial bill earlier this afternoon. The state Senate approved a rollback of HB 2, also known as the bathroom bill, which the LGBTQ community said discriminated against transgender people in their choice of bathroom. The bathroom bill resulted in the loss of several major sporting events in the state, including any NCAA championship locations in any sport until at least 2022, as well as the NBA All-Star Game, which was meant to be held in Charlotte. Critics of the repeal say the new legislation will not bring back NCAA games to the Tar Heel state.
Anything that the NCAA has said so far about why they've left North Carolina and the kind of places that they want to hold tournament games says to anybody that what they're trying to pass, HB 2020, doubling down on discrimination, would actually let them bring games back to North Carolina. If they want to come to a place that's welcoming for their fans, their players, unfortunately, this legislation won't make North Carolina that state again.
The Associated Press stated the state would lose $3.76 billion in business over the life of the bill if it stood. What has become a thrilling month of college basketball will finally come to a close this weekend, as both the men and women's Final Fours will take place this weekend. One similarity between the two, the University of South Carolina. The Lady Gamecocks will play in their second Final Four in 3 seasons when they face Stanford Friday night in Dallas. Perennial favorite UConn will take on another SEC team, Mississippi State, afterwards. The men's team, on the other hand, will appear in its first ever Final Four. They'll take on another program in its first Final Four, the Gonzaga Bulldogs. On the other side of the bracket, Oregon will play North Carolina for a spot in Monday's title matchup in Phoenix. In the professional game, the MVP race is coming down to the wire, but one candidate had a historic performance last night. Oklahoma City Thunder guard Russell Westbrook scored the most points ever while compiling a triple-double. He put up 57 points, 13 rebounds, and 11 assists in a come-from-behind overtime victory in Orlando. It was his 38th triple-double of the season, 3 off the all-time record. And if you're sick of basketball, good news. It's the opening weekend of baseball season this Sunday. 3 games mark the day, including the reigning World Series champs Chicago Cubs beginning their title defense against their rivals, the St. Louis Cardinals. In local sports, Rockbridge County High School's tennis teams are off to a great start. The Wildcat boys are 6-0 while the girls are 3-1 on the young season. Both are in the midst of a match against William Fleming as we speak. The Washington and Lee women's tennis team has also had a fruitful season. The 16th ranked Lady Generals swept Hollins and Shenandoah this week. They'll travel to Mary Washington this weekend. And the baseball team has posted its best ever start to conference play, posting a 9-0 record in the ODAC. The team is on an 8-game win streak, but will face powerhouse Randolph-Macon in a doubleheader this Saturday. Across the street, the VMI Cadet women's water polo team has been stellar in the pool this season. The 15-4 Lady Cadets will play their last 4 home contests of the season this weekend with 2 games Friday and 2 on Saturday at the Clark King Pool. Back to you, Bryn and Polly.
Waddell Elementary is hitting the right note this month to celebrate music in our schools. Caroline Blackman shows you what students did to celebrate.
Students have shown off their talent during Music in the Schools Month this March. Waddell music teacher Angie Rader has led students through 3 performances.
I think the importance of music is to make us well-rounded.
This year marks the 32nd anniversary of celebrating music in schools across the country. A recital at Waddell Elementary on Tuesday evening marked the end of the month.
I think music in our schools month is really important because it gives children exposure to things that maybe they're not getting exposure to at home.
The Limekiln Theater and Fine Arts in Rockbridge have also amped up their involvement with Waddell. Limekiln's executive director Spencer McElroy grew up in Lexington. He said acoustic music is something Limekiln specializes in.
Acoustic music works well for the outdoor venue, the setting, and this part of the country. A lot of bluegrass heritage here.
Danny Nicely was one of 4 performers who put on a show at Waddell on Friday. He plays several instruments.
The sound of it and I guess the vibration of the strings and everything's kind of mesmerizing, and
just something very familiar about it.
Dancer Sherry Shepard showed the students a traditional form of dancing, clogging.
We came up with something new, something strictly American.
McElroy said music education is important for children.
All it takes is, one experience, one show, for, one kid to say, I want to play the mandolin now. I don't even know what the mandolin was, and now, and that could change their life.
Limetown wants to expand its music programs to other schools in Lexington. I'm Caroline Blackman with the Rockbridge Report.
That's it for today's Rockbridge Report. Join us on Tuesday for a live update at 3 and visit our website at any time at rockbridgereport.wlu.edu. Thank you for watching.